love the Jewish world. We love Israel. I think we both love to eat. And we both came back to Omaha after being away many years. In my case, 30, in your case, 20 probably. And we didn't know we loved the Jewish community so much until we actually came back and started working in it. And I just want you all to know that Alan really had a different career path than being in Jewish communal service. I happen to be friends with a lady, unfortunately. She died, and may she rest in peace, just died recently. She was Alan's second grade teacher in Lincoln. How many years were you in Lincoln? It was in Omaha. Okay, I'm sorry. She ended up living in Lincoln for 40 years. It was in Omaha. But she relates to me in Alan's voice when she asked her, was it second grade?
First grade.
When she asked her first grade students what they want to be when they grow up. And trying to emulate Alan's voice, she responds that Alan said, "I want to be a doctor." We're glad you picked Jewish communal service. You've been terrific. I was working here when you were hired. I supported your hire, and but I've gotten to know you better in the last year since we worked on the annual campaign. And everything that was said about you on the screen, absolutely, I can relate to everything. Only the best for you, because you've given us your best, and your best has been tremendous for our community. And I wish you all the nachas, the luck, and if you're going to retire, enjoy retirement. I used to think it was great, but I'm not sure anymore. Anyway, whatever you decide to do, I wish you all the best.
When, I guess 11 and a half years ago at this point, I got to Omaha, and after getting a tour of the city, I guess during my interview, Alan had volunteered to give me an actual tour of the Jewish community. And so I thought I was in for like a half-hour kind of experience around Omaha. And that turned into like 4 hours and a really great lunch at a Greek restaurant, and I have no recollection of what that was, but nevertheless, it took everything in me. It was like a full day, and it was draining. And I would say it was draining because Alan could be able to walk through everything that used to be. We could sit in South Omaha and he could talk about where his father, blessed memory, went to shul. We went to North Omaha and off of Dodge, to all the synagogues that you could then recollect what was in the Ricks Museum. All of those places, and you could tell how much it meant. That these weren't just places that used to exist that are now abandoned. They had history, and there was a love with them. And that touched me because I can't really explain, because the fact that it made me realize how much all of you and how much Omaha really means to the town. Right? It may be a smaller Jewish community. Sorry, the data, it is what it is. But we may be a smaller Jewish community, but nevertheless, there's still a love affair with all of those things. And the second was the following, that I would consider myself the mentee of Alan's leadership, is that after walking into his office at the ADL one time, upset about something that had taken place, he looked at me very wisely and he said, it's okay to be a bull in the china shop, just remember that you can't break everything. And so that has been something I've tried to stick with me and keep on. I know that I have definitely broke a few things, but that being said, those words still resonate with me till today, so thank you again.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nate Shapiro. I worked for Alan for a couple of years, and we've heard about his passion and his braininess with the data and all of this, but I want to tell a quick story about him as an executioner, in the sense of making things happen. In the winter of 2017, I was tasked with leading the teen trip to Israel. Everything went great, no problems, until the very last day when we were supposed to be coming back, and there was a giant snowpocalypse situation on the eastern coast, which had canceled our flight from New York to Omaha. And I found out about this in the airport at Tel Aviv as we were about to get on the plane to New York. And while I was in the air, texting back and forth with Alan, Alan was arranging a charter bus to pick us up from the airport. We sat there for 30 minutes, the bus came, and then 18 hours later, we were in Omaha. And just a big shout out to you, Alan. Congratulations, and best of luck with everything. We're a better community because you were in charge of things.
Goldstein, and I'm very happy to say that Alan and Amy are my neighbors, and so in addition to being able to see Alan almost every day because he's walking Brucey up and down in front of my window, but over the years, first having worked with him when he became the ADL director, and I think I first met you at a GA, the one thing that stood out was that Alan always knew what his purpose was, and he always knew that his mission was to work for community and to work for the Jewish people, and his values that just steered you through everything, along with your deep sense of justice and representing every segment of the community, absolutely made us a better community. And for me, it was extremely exciting because having known a little bit of the job that you face, but with even greater challenges. And I've been fortunate because my partner Iris Ricks and I, we do work with trips to Israel in many federations around the country. And when we go there, we see what has continued to be built here in Omaha. And Alan, you have made this kept us a very solid community. So as your neighbor, as your friend, as your colleague, very, very proud of you. And I also have to mention, since the time I met Alan, he gave me so much information. I'd get a phone call from the press about Israel, and I'd run to his office and say, okay, help me, give me the words. And then after I left, I'd call him at home and I'd say, meet me out in the front yard. I just found out I have to make a comment. What do I say? So he's a source of information. I know whatever you go ahead to do, you will do it just as well as you have what you've done for us here. Thank you.
I want to echo what everybody has said. Alan is a very interesting, very deep person who has lots of different sides, and you need to get with Alan and befriend him and understand that there's more to Alan than just what you're aware of. And I found that out over my 2.5 years as president and the year before that, and I really appreciate it. I learned a lot about the right way to be Jewish from you, and I want you to know I really appreciate that. Siegel's not here today, so on behalf of the board, we'd like to present you with a tzedakah box gift. I know you'll fill it because that's what you do. You're all about giving, and whether it's monetary or your time or your service or your ideas or whatever, we are all better for it, and we really, really appreciate you and everything you've done for our community.
I knew almost 2 years ago that this pandemic was going to last about 27 months. And we had a plan from day one what we were going to do to protect the community. And every time the CDC comes out with an announcement, he calls me and says, "Didn't we decide that already?" And so just know Jon is a visionary and he's an epidemiologist. There's a saying in many synagogues, know before whom you stand. This community is a foundation for all of us in a way that most of us sometimes take for granted. So when you think about who's in front of you, it's somebody who has a passion, a mission, a role in life, whether you know them or not. And we are responsible for that relationship and for fostering that relationship to the purpose of strengthening our community. This room is filled with people who do that every day in a way that changes lives. You know, we're lucky. This is a community, as everybody else has mentioned, that's unique and special. It's built upon the vision and passion of people 100, 120, 150 years ago. And so we're benefiting from the work that they started. And we know in Jewish life that the goal is not to finish the work, it's the goal to make it happen and to continue it on and on and on and on. And that's what we're doing here in our community. And I thank you all very much. I have to do a couple of shout outs. First of all, BK over here. Can you stand up, please? So, I auditioned for The Wizard of Oz at the old JCC back in, I don't know, it must have been 1964, 65.
Okay, 67 and above.
Okay, 67. And BK was working there at the time, but she said I wasn't so good, so found another career besides singing in a play, which she was right about that. No, but BK represents a lineage of people who are committed to our Jewish community who might not be Jewish. BK's commitment to us as the community back in the old JCC and the new JCC and continuing on has been an inspiration for me. She worked here, I don't know if you know this, I had a first career here at the JCC in, 1974? That's when I started in 1982, 83, and got to connect with some of the people who really built upon this community. But we are a community of people who are devoted to the work that we can provide for our community. But it goes again to the point that once you're committed to being part of the Jewish community, whether you're Jewish or not, you're committed to it. So I'd like to ask anybody who's worked for the Federation or one of its agencies for more than 15 years to stand up. Oh, a few people. Come on, I know. There we go, Karen, Pam, others, Jan, Mike, you've been here at least 15 years. Yeah, April will be 15. That's dedication and devotion to our community, and it's important that we remember that it's important to connect and know that each year goes by, and each year we're still here and we move on. I really want to thank the foundation people for their nice way of saying goodbye to me. That was really cute. But our multimedia work is done by Marty Ricks, who does phenomenal work. And you've been here longer than 15 years, because
Yeah.
you started when you were 12. and
Yeah.
you were 27. So she's great. And I want to just thank Jesse, wherever Jesse is, who's really been my partner for the past 15 months, and Diane Walker over here before that in my office, and now she's down the foundation. And where's Linda Pollard? Linda didn't want to show up. Is she here? Linda, so I have many ladies in my life. Jessie, Diane, Linda, Margie, others. Pardon me? I won't forget about you. You're gonna come in at the end. It's a great story. But it's really meaningful to just have these continued relationships with people. And Jon, thank you for your words. And it really means a lot to me that you're here. The community is a very important place to me, as you have been told. And I want to thank my mother and my sister for guiding me in their leadership as well. I'm going to close with two quick stories. First of all, Father Lewis and I had a fight once. You know, Jewish-Catholic relations, you know, never so peaceful. So I'm reading in the Catholic Voice, which I used to get, and there was an article in there that I didn't really care so much about, so I called Father Lewis. I said, I need to talk to you. I go to the diocese, and we're sitting in, there was Bishop Curtis's office, and you were sitting next to me. We were trying to have this conversation. I pull out the Catholic Voice, and I said, Father Lewis, I have to talk to you about this article. I'm not so happy with it. He pulls out the Jewish press and says, I have an article that I'm not so happy about. So Catholic-Jewish relations, they're important. I'm going to close by just thanking Gary Nachman. I had a picture that I was going to put up on the screen, but I guess it didn't translate. If it wasn't for Gary, I wouldn't have met Amy. I don't know if you know this, but Gary's my brother-in-law, Amy is my wife. And I wouldn't have met Amy if it wasn't for Gary, who came here to teach Hebrew and taught my parents, well, tried to teach my parents Hebrew. But we started a relationship as friends back in the 80s that has continued on and on and on. And the benefit that I've gotten out of it is marrying his sister, Amy, who's been the love of my life, and the only woman really in my life, but has been by my side all along as we've endeavored into the hard work of strengthening our communities. So with that, I want to thank everybody for being here and enjoy.